Is it spaghetti if it doesn't have wine in it? Oh, Lord. Okay. Let's do this thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Emmy Klein, and I am an artist here in Raleigh, North Carolina. Yes, this is my kitchen. Yes, I'm cooking dinner. No, this is not a cooking show, and I have no intention of telling you anything about this. I am just simply multitasking, because this is my life now. With my previous video, I told you guys that I'm doing a Pantone Postcard challenge, where I am attempting to paint all 100 postcards before I go to my residency in France, which is 160 something-ish days away. 167. It is 168. I will put however many days left that I have to go to France up here on the screen, because I need to do math off camera. To recap, the first week of the challenge, I killed it. I knocked it out of the park. It was perfect. I did 5 just like I had planned. I did get those days that I needed to skip handled, and I got my stuff done for work. I got my postcards done, and there was one that I wasn't thrilled about, but they're all done. So the first week was awesome. I killed it. And then the second week. The second week, I didn't paint at all. That is so bad. And this is the reason why I had to alter this challenge for myself, because otherwise I would have already failed miserably, truly bad. So here's the game plan. I'm going to finish cooking dinner tonight. I'm going to attempt to do my first one of this week, and then tomorrow I know I am not going to be able to paint at all. It's a Tuesday. I go live with my day job, and so I am essentially going to not have time tomorrow, which is why I am filming this also in my kitchen to multitask, because I just don't have any other time to film an intro. I'm gonna stop rambling now. Yeah. And fade to painting. Okie dokie. So yeah, clearly I did not get to painting on Monday. Definitely not Tuesday. So I knew by Wednesday I absolutely had to sit down. So opened the book, and here was a fun kind of a pink color. It was really light, had some yellow undertones, which was perfect for the fact that I rolled a 2, and that's portrait. So I had an idea where I wanted to see if I could do an entire portrait in mostly just a red color, which is why I used carmine and burnt sienna, because carmine was a little too purple, burnt sienna was a little too orange for what I was looking for. Also, OMG, take a look at that poor woman's face. I aged her like 1,000 years. Sorry, got distracted by the Skeletor that I drew. I also knew that my drawing was way off at that point, so I had to fix it. Happens to everyone, really, it does. So if you want to watch Skeletor get younger again, just pay attention. But yeah, so I was really excited to have the darkest darks be actually red instead of a black or any color, kind of a cool color. So, almost a monochromatic painting, but I did need some, transitions and midtones, which is why I pulled out the white and permanent yellow deep. So I mixed that in with the carmine and burnt sienna mixture just for a couple of, transitions. I still kept it pretty graphic, where I didn't blend between those very well, but I wanted to build it up and keep the highlights the original card, which was, that really bright kind of a pink color. So all of the highlights are actually pink. They're not white. But the saving grace being that I knew, based off of the paintings that I had done in the first week, that I could scratch back into the paint. And the postcards are slick, so that, as you can see, I'm using a toothpick and scratching back in the details on her hair and her nose and fixing that drawing mistakes that I was doing, her glasses, all of that. So overall, I was really happy with how this one turned out, and as an experiment, it was pretty cool. So first card is done. So since I was definitely behind, I decided on Wednesday to do another one. And I rolled abstract, which, I was determined to be positive about, not be grumpy. And I had this very neutral kind of it's beige. I got a beige. So I decided to go the exact opposite and bring in some rainbows. So I pulled out a lot of colors for this one. There's a lot. But I went in with a palette knife and just dabbed it on and kind of scraped it down. But I wanted it to drip, so I spritzed it with just water from my Aqua Mist bottle and then dabbed in some more paint while that was still wet, and by the time that was done, it was just a huge mess, and I definitely needed to dry it a little bit. So that's me with a hairdryer. And then I dabbed in a couple more little blobs of paint for almost like a glitchy kind of an effect. But eventually I also went in with some more water and more drips and more splatters just to kind of make it a real fun kind of explosion of color. And overall, I was really happy with this one. It did not take me a whole lot of time, but I mean, how fun. Yes, we skipped Thursday. Turns out I needed a mental health day. So on Friday, I grabbed my die and immediately rolled it off the screen. So I re-rolled it, and honestly, I don't know what I rolled the first time, but I definitely got abstract again. I think the universe is trying to tell me something. So I tried to, again, go at it with positivity, and I got this really fun chocolatey brown color. So after thinking about it, I selected a couple colors that I thought would work with the original color so I didn't have to fully cover it, and I don't. But the first layer was me just kind of doing an ethereal kind of mishmash of colors, and then I honestly started just blending my colors together that I had and doing kind of shapes. I was more or less scribbling on there, which actually I end up full-on scribbling on there with the toothpick to dig back into the original kind of color. But I mean, it was an experiment of textures and kind of just playing with different shapes. But I'm warming up to abstract. It was fun. Eventually we're gonna get there, guys. But this one, I am gonna say though, is officially done. Alright, so the abstract did not take me very long, so I decided to just knock out another one. And so I rolled the die and actually rolled my first 6, which is the category of wild card. So I was so excited that I almost forgot to open up the book and pull out my card, which I got this really fun bubblegum pink. But with the category, I definitely wanted to make sure that it was not going to land in any of the other ones. So I decided I wanted to actually paint a Lego brick, but I wanted to make sure that my proportions were pretty on point. So I actually sketched it because, if your Lego brick is off, people are very familiar with Lego brick. They know what it looks like. You're gonna know it's off, which, not gonna lie, at the end of this, you can tell it is still slightly off. But the Lego brick was green, which I really loved against this bubblegum pink background, but the shadow still had to kind of fade into that pink. So I used a combination of the violet and opera red for this ridiculously purple pink kind of a shadow. And then I went in with the 3 colors that I actually used to build the Lego brick: the permanent green light, permanent green middle, and Viridian for my shadows. Now, I do have to apologize. The beginning of this process, I was so off camera. I didn't realize it, but I did bring it back. There we are. So I try to lay down a good mid-tone and build up my highlights that way. And then eventually I did realize that I needed a little bit lighter, so I was bringing in that white color to just kind of lighten that green just a little bit. But at the end of having the Lego brick more or less done, I realized that I wanted my shadow to be darker, and I wanted the color of the pink to kind of reflect back in to the Lego brick. So I was trying to kind of bring the pinks and purples into the brick, and vice versa with a shadow to bring that green back down. So it was really fun kind of playing with those colors because they're pretty opposite on the color wheel. But this one was super fun and my first wild card category, and it is done. To finish up my week on a high note, I woke up on Saturday, had a really good cup of coffee, and rolled the die, which I got a 3, which is animal, and then pulled out a fun, funky orange color. So I really was not limited in kind of the idea of what I had, so after doing some research, I just decided that I wanted to do something that was adorable and cute and floofy, so I went with this little wood mouse. And the link to the reference photos that I use in these images, I always put them below for you guys to check out, but this one I did have to alter a bit, so I wanted his tail to kind of wrap around and break the border that is the orange, just to kind of pull it down into that white, which is kind of fun. But I started with my shadows, which was the burnt umber, violet, and burnt sienna. Now the burnt sienna, being a little bit more orange, really worked with the original color, and I wasn't trying to really destroy that color underneath all of his little fur areas, but I wanted to work with it. So I also laid down some aqua blue and yellow ochre and just kind of made sure at this point to pay attention to the direction of his fur. All of my brush strokes needed to go in the direction of whichever way his fur was going. That's kind of how I really got him to look extremely floofy. But I definitely needed these 3 colors, Jaune Brilliant, Permanent Orange, and Permanent Red, in order to get those kind of fleshy tones that you find on his tail, on his feet, on his little snoot, and his ears. Especially the ears where the sunshine is kind of coming through, where you can kind of see it's got that skin. But it was just so much fun painting this little guy. Not gonna lie, there is a point where I actually start the highlights in his face, and he also almost looks like he's wearing a little mask. It's so adorable. There it is. So I eventually get back to the highlights to where he doesn't continue to look like he's wearing a little mask, but this one was so much fun, and I'm just gonna stop talking and let you guys enjoy the rest of this. And there you have it. This little guy is done. How adorable is that? So as I rotate this, you can see the original surface of the card kind of shine through his cheek and a couple other areas, but this guy is so cute. But that was the week for me, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button, hit subscribe, ring the bell, all that jazz. It really helps out the channel. Hope to see you next week.